All of you, please check and let me know if you are able to see the screen properly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Yes, sir.
okay, okay. So very good morning, students. In yesterday's lecture, we had complete techniques, if you remember. And as I discussed, we are going to continue with the sorting techniques today. Okay, so this is the second, I would say, uh, part of our this unit, this chapter, that is sorting techniques. So, so discussing something common related to sorting techniques in all this problem, what we are going to do is, okay, so in these problems, we will be given as input some unordered set of elements. Okay, so in these problem, in sorting problems, what we will be input unordered input elements will be given. Okay, unordered input elements will be there, and our problem will be to arrange this unordered input elements into ordered elements. We have to align them into an order, so maybe an ascending order, right? So input will be any random order. Okay, and what we are expected to do by applying sorting technique is we have to order these elements. Now in order to do this ordering, there are different techniques available. Okay, so we are going to study all those techniques. So what all these techniques try to do is they try to convert unordered elements into ordered elements, all the problems. Okay, so for all the problems, the nature of input will be unordered elements and output will be ordered elements. But the way we do it, the way their methodology is, we have these different types, and each one have its own benefits and drawbacks. Okay, so we will be discussing the advantages, disadvantages, and we'll also try to compare these sorting techniques as and when we progress. Before we do that, let us list out different sorting techniques which we are going to study in our curriculum. Okay, so first we are going to start with the first sorting technique, that we call it as bubble sort. So all of you can make note of this sorting techniques which I am writing right now on the whiteboard. So these are different sorting techniques which we are going to study in our syllabus. Okay, bubble sort. The second one is selection sort. All of you take down these names in your notebooks. Third one is insertion sort. Insertion sort. Fourth one is merge sort. All of you are requested to write this in your notebooks. I may ask anyone to open the video and check it at any point in time. So all of you should in your notebooks. Fifth one is quick sort. Fifth one is quick sort. Sixth one that we are going to discuss is radix sort. And the last technique that we are going to discuss is heap sort. So these are different sorting techniques which I have quoted, which we are going to discuss one by one. So each of these sorting techniques, as I said, will have its own benefits, its own way of working, its own drawbacks. So we are going to compare these one by one. Okay, but for what is common in all these techniques is, in all these techniques, what is input is unordered elements, and what is output that we are going to get is ordered set of elements. Output that we are going to get is ordered elements. Is it clear? So let us start with the first sorting technique now. Okay, that I have quoted. All of you are able to see this Excel screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what we are going to discuss today is bubble sort. What we are going to discuss today is bubble sort. Is the font okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, so as I told you, input to the bubble sort will be unordered set of elements and output will be ordered set of elements. So let us take some unordered elements first. Okay, so I'm taking some numbers here, some random numbers. So these are the numbers which I have taken. Let me make the font as 14 so it will be more visible for you people. Hope this is much better. Or shall I increase it more? Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So suppose this is our given input. Okay. Suppose this is our given input. Suppose this is our given input. Now, this sorting techniques basically works in different iterations. These sorting techniques basically works in different iterations. For bubble sort technique, we have total n minus 1 iteration. How many iterations we have? We have total n minus 1 iterations. What is n? N is basically the number of elements. What is n? N basically is the number of elements. So how many elements we have here that we have taken? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We have these 7 elements, right? So n for us is 7. N for us in our problem is 7, right? N for us is 7 in our problem, correct? So what is n minus 1 for us in our problem? It will be 6. It will be 6. So total how many iterations we will be having? We will be having 6 iterations. We will be having total 6 iterations. And in each iteration, some work will be performed. Some work will be performed. What work will be performed? I'll explain you step by step. So first statement of our explanation of bubble sort is that bubble sort executes in n minus 1 iterations. Bubble sort executes in n minus 1 iteration. Okay. Now, in every iteration, we try to push the largest element to its extreme right. Okay. I'll write this statement on the notepad so it will be more clear so that you can write it in your notes also. Okay. Bubble sort, you can also write this in your notebooks. Bubble sort takes n minus 1 iterations. In every iteration, it tries to push the largest number to extreme right of the input. It tries to push the largest number to extreme right of the input. Now, what is meaning of this statement? In every iteration, it tries to push the largest number to the extreme right. So if you look at this particular numbers which I have given here on our Excel sheet, that is 21, 19, 17, 23, 11, 9 and 4. So in the first iteration, what our logic will try to do is, at the end of first iteration, that largest number 23 will be placed at the extreme right. So that for that again we have to apply some logic. But what will be the output of our first iteration? That 23 should go in the extreme right position. So at this last position, where right now our 4 is present. Are you getting this? So some logic we have to apply. How to do that? I'll explain you. But did you understand the output of our first iteration? What is output of first iteration? That we have to push the largest number to its extreme right. Because if I tell you to sort this number, at the end we all know that 23 is the largest, so where it should go? To the extreme right. Now once 23 has reached its appropriate position, we are not interested in considering that 23 henceforth. So then next time we will focus only on remaining 6 numbers. Are you getting this? Because 23 would have reached on the last position. Correct? So we will reduce our problem by one size from right hand side. We will reduce our problem by one size from right hand side. So 23 then for next step we will ignore in the next iteration. So in iteration number 2, then we will have only 6 numbers remaining. In those 6 numbers, again our objective will be to push the largest number from that remaining numbers to extreme right. So in those remaining numbers, who will be largest? 21 as per our numbers. So that 21 will come in the second last position in the second iteration. Are you getting this? So now in the first two iteration, 23 got placed, 21 got placed, right? So again, we will not consider that number 21 in next iteration. So we'll be left with 5 numbers. We'll be left with 5 numbers. Again, apply the same logic of pushing the largest number to extreme right in those 5 numbers. And if this we continue for n minus 1 times, that is 6 times. We have 7 numbers. If we do this for 6 times, already by default, the remaining 7th number will come in the first position. Did you get this philosophy, students?
Yes, sir.
Is the philosophy understood, students? Roll number 28. Do we have roll number 28? Is roll number 28 present? Is he present or absent? Is roll number 28 present or absent?
Absent, sir.
Okay. Do we have roll number 46? 46?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you understand the philosophy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So total n numbers are there and n minus 1 iterations are there. What is n for us in our example? 7. So how many iterations will be there? 6. Okay. So in every iteration, what we want to do is, as the statement says, bubble sort takes n minus 1 iteration. In every iteration, it tries to push the largest number to extreme right of the input. And after every iteration, the problem is reduced by 1 from right hand side. That's what I told you, right? So once the largest number reaches to the last position, I don't need to consider that number again in my solution. So next time I consider only remaining 6 numbers. That's why I'm reducing my problem by 1 from right hand side. I'm reducing the problem by 1 from right hand side. Are you getting this? Then in remaining 6 numbers, again I will find the largest number. I will push that largest number in the extreme right position. So my second last number is also reached. Again, I'll reduce the problem by 1 from right hand side. So I'll be remaining with 5 numbers. And this story will continue for n minus 1 iterations. And finally, the last number, that is 7th number, will by default come on the first position. So whenever someone asks you to, in the oral examination or during interviews, if someone asks you that how bubble sort executes, so we should give this type of precise answer. What is the answer? Bubble sort takes n minus 1 iteration. In every iteration, it tries to push the largest number to extreme right of the input. And after every iteration, the problem is getting reduced by 1 from right hand side. Now, our task is to actually accomplish this statement. So I'll tell you how it actually happens. So suppose here our iteration starts, our first iteration starts. So in order to push that extreme largest number, we have to apply some logic, right? So how we'll apply that logic? So see how we do it. First, I compare the first 2 numbers. What I do? I compare first 2 numbers. I have to start from somewhere, right? So I'm starting from my first 2 numbers. I check whether 21 is greater than 19. What I check? Whether 21 is greater than 19. Yes, 21 is greater than 19. So if 21 is greater than 19, so I may feel that 21 should go to the extreme right. Because as of now, I may feel that 21 is greater. Our objective is to push the largest number, right? So with respect to these 2 numbers, what I understand is at least 21 is greater. So what I do, I perform a swap between 21 and 19. What I do, I perform a swap between 22 and 19. Did you understand, students? What I have marked in red color is the comparison. I am comparing 21 with 19. I am comparing 21 with 19. Whether 21 is greater than 19? Yes. If yes, then swap will happen. If yes, then swap will happen. Are you getting this, students? The next 2 numbers that will be compared is now this one. 21 will be compared with 17. 21 will be compared with 17. Whether 21 is greater than 17? Yes. So swap will happen. So swap will happen. Swap will happen. Are you getting this, students? Now, next time, 21 will be compared with 23. Next time, 21 will be compared with 23. Whether 21 is greater than 23? No. 21 is not greater than 23. So now swap will not happen and the answer will remain as it is. Did you understand this step, my dear students? Only swap will take place when the left hand side number is greater than the right hand side number. Initially 21 was greater than 19. That's why I did a swap. And then I just move ahead in the comparison. Then I compared 21 with 17. Again, I found 21 greater. So swap happened. And then we move ahead in the comparison. Then we compare 21 with 23. But here 21 is not greater than 23, right? So here swap will not take place. Here the swap will not take place. Numbers will remain as it is. But now comparison should progress. So now next time I'll compare 23 with 11. Whether 23 is greater than 11? Yes, 23 is greater than 11. And that's why now swap will take place. That's why I have swapped now 11 with 23. That's why I have swapped now 11 with 23. After that, then there will be comparison between 23 and 9. There will be comparison between 23 and 9. Whether 23 is greater than 9? Yes, 23 is greater than 9. That's why there will be a swap taking place between 23 and 9. So I have done swap between 23 and 9. Then next time I will do comparison between 23 and 4. Next time I will do comparison between 23 and 4. Whether 23 is greater than 4? Yes, 23 is greater than 4. That's why there will be a swap taking place between 23 and 4. That's why there will be a swap taking place between 23 and 4. Now I have reached till last position. I have done all the comparisons. So this becomes the output of my first iteration. What was my first iteration? What did I tell you? What will be the output of first iteration? The largest number will be pushed to extreme right. Now, do we have the largest number of the original given input to the extreme right? My dear students, ahe ka? Is 23? Yes. Our first iteration is completed now. This is just the first iteration. This is not my total sorting. Understand this. This is not my total sorting. What we did up till now is just our first iteration. Okay. So in each iteration, what we try to do is we try to compare the numbers from left to right, 2 at a time. Okay. 21 with 19. And when the swap will take place? Only when the left hand side number is greater than the right hand side number. If it is not greater, then swap will not take place, but the comparison of two numbers will keep on proceeding from the first position to the last position. Are you getting this? So this was our first iteration. So I will write the iteration number over here. This is our first iteration, right? The first iteration started here, right? This is our first iteration. This is also first iteration, first. And this becomes the output of our first iteration. This becomes output of our first iteration, which indirectly is also input to our second iteration. Correct? Which is input to our first. Now in first iteration, how many comparisons we made, my dear students? All the red marks that I have written is a comparison, right? So how many comparisons are there? 1. This was second. This was third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. How many comparisons we made in first iteration? So this is my iteration number. And this is my number of comparisons that I made, that I am writing here. So iteration number 1, how many comparisons we make? Iteration number 1, how many comparisons we make? 6. Is it clear, students? I'm not taking this last step inside my first iteration. Why? Because that is output. And if that is output, it will act, that particular line will act as an input to the second iteration, as this given problem was input to the first iteration. So I consider this line into first iteration. So I should consider this last line now into the input of second iteration. Are you getting this? So here my second iteration now begins. Here now my second iteration begins. Now for second iteration, what I told you, now henceforth we will not be considering 23 because 23 has reached its appropriate position. Right? 23 has reached its appropriate position. So we'll not consider 23 now. 23 will keep aside now because the statement is we reduce our problem by 1. Correct? We reduce our problem by 1 from right hand side. So this space we are not considering now for the next iteration. 23 I am not considering for the next iteration because it has reached to its appropriate position. So now for me the problem is only this much: 19, 17, 21, 11, 9 and 4, which is now input of my second iteration. Are you getting this, students? So now in this, first comparison will take place between 19 and 17. First comparison will take place between 19 and 17. Same story will repeat now. Same story. Whatever we did in first iteration, we'll repeat now in second iteration. Compare 19 with 17. Whether 19 is greater than 17? Yes. So swap. So swap. Rest I write as it is. Next time comparison will take place between 19 and 21. Next time comparison will take place between 19 and 21. Whether 19 is greater than 70, whether 19 is greater than 21? No, 19 is not greater than 21. That's why swap will not take place. That's why swap will not take place. Numbers will remain as it is. But my dear students, that comparison will happen. Very important. Don't neglect writing that step. Even if that is not there, but that comparison will take place. That comparison will take place, right? So that red mark I am trying to simulate because that condition has to be checked. Unless and until you check that condition, you will not come to know whether the number is greater or smaller. So you should write that steps, right? But if the number is not greater, swap will not happen, but the step has to be written. Okay, so next time now I'll compare 21 with 11. Next time I'll compare 21 with 11. Whether 21 is greater than 11, students? Yes, 21 is greater than 11, right? So swap will take place between 21 and 11. Swap will take place between 21 and 11. So 11 and 21 are swapped. Next time the comparison will be done between 21 and 9. Next time the comparison will take place between 21 and 9. So swap will take place again in this situation also. Swap will take place in this situation also. Correct? And finally, the comparison will be done between 21 and 4. Comparison will be done between 21 and 4. 17, 19, 11, 9, 4 and 21 will be our output. My dear students, even if I continue and now compare 21 with 23, will my answer change? No, never my answer going to change because already 23 has reached its appropriate position in the first iteration. So even if you don't reduce your problem from right hand side, but still if you keep on comparing 21 with 23 also, your answer is not going to change. And that's why it makes sense to reduce our problem from right hand side so that the solution will be more effective. Are you getting this? Even if I continue and compare 21 with 23, that doesn't make sense, right? Because answer is not going to change. Correct? So we'll not do that comparison. So in second iteration, total how many steps are there? Last one I will not consider because that is output of my second iteration. So it becomes input to my third iteration. So total how many comparison we made? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 comparisons only. So in second iteration we have made 5 comparison. In second iteration we have made 5 comparison. Is this understood, students? In second iteration we have made 5 comparison. Is the first 2 iterations understood? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh? I hope the examples were clear for you people. I'm trying to create some block of iteration so that it will be easy for you to visualize. Are the first 2 iteration understood? Anyone is having any doubt? Feel free to ask. I again repeat, in first iteration, or in every iteration rather, our objective is to push the largest number to extreme right. For doing that, we have to start from somewhere. So we start comparing the numbers one by one from first position. We compare two numbers. If the left hand side number is greater than the right hand side number, then swap will take place. Otherwise not. Otherwise not. So we'll start comparing. So in first iteration, we do 6 comparisons, by which at the end 23 reached its appropriate position. In next iteration, we reduce the problem by 1 from right hand side. Even if we don't reduce that from right hand side, in some textbooks that reduction step is not written. If you don't reduce also, still it is not going to make any impact on in your answer, right? Even if I compare now 21 with 23, my answer is not going to change. So why to waste the comparison of our computer, right? So we can write more effective solution. So we can reduce that. So in second iteration, we are doing only 5 comparisons. So this is now input of our third iteration. This is now input of our third iteration. So in now third iteration, my dear students, can you tell me how many comparisons will be there?
4.
4.
4.
4.
Correct. Correct. Because we are reducing. Very good students. Because we are reducing our comparisons from right hand side, right? We are reducing the problem from right hand side. So in every step, our comparisons are going to get reduced by 1. So in now third iteration, we will have only 4 comparisons, right? We'll have only 4 comparisons. We'll have only 4 comparisons. And these numbers will remain as it is in those cases. Correct? So let us start those comparisons from left hand side. Third iteration. So first 17 will be compared with 19. Whether 17 is greater than 19? No, swap will not take place. Next, whether next comparison is between 19 and 11. Next comparison is between 19 and 11. Whether 19 is greater than 11? Yes, so swap will take place. So swap will take place. Next time 19 will compare with 9. Next time 19 will compare with 9. Next time 19 will compare with 4. So 19 has reached its appropriate position. Are you getting this, students? So this was our third iteration. So in third iteration, how many comparison we made? Only 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this last line has now become input to our fourth iteration. So this is our third iteration. Comparisons. The last line is output of third iteration, which becomes input of our fourth iteration. Are you understanding this, students? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, students, sometimes what happens, sometimes we take numbers in such a way that after some iterations, like after fourth, fifth, we feel that our input is sorted. Sometimes it may happen that it is not happened in this case, still our original problem is not solved, but sometimes it may happen after solving some iteration, you may feel that my answer got solved because all answer is getting sorted. Suppose, say for example, after solving this, now it is not there, but suppose it may happen, if random inputs are taken, sometimes it may happen that at the output of a particular iteration, still n-1 iterations are not done. Suppose there are total 6 iterations, but after fourth iteration only if I see that I am getting my answer, the problem doesn't get solved there. You have to continue for n-1 iterations. See, because for that particular input, you may feel that answer is calculated, but inputs are dynamic, right? So computer will do the logic for n-1 times. Computer will do the logic for n-1 times. Even if your problem gets solved for a particular case of input, at the end of say third or fourth iteration, it will not stop. The logic will continue for n minus 1 iteration. In every iteration, you will try to push the largest number to extreme right, and at the end of every iteration, the problem will be reduced by 1 from right hand side. This story has to continue for n minus 1 iterations. So if you get a numerical to solve in your paper, see, you have to solve it in this way. Left hand side iteration and right hand side, you should show these numbers. And whatever swap I have shown here with red color, that you can show using an underline in your notebooks. Now you cannot use a different color pen in your notebooks. Usually when I teach this using the classroom method, I usually draw an underline on the board, blackboard. But now this is a different style. Okay, so this underline looks weird here. That's why I have used some colors so that it will be easily understood to you people. But when you solve in your notebooks, what you can do, you can create an underline between 17 and 19 at the start of third iteration. Then do an underline between 19, so that you will come to know that what two numbers are getting compared. Why you should solve this numerical properly and fully is, unless and until you do it, you will not be able to design logic for this. See, at the end, we have to write a code for this now. So for doing that code, first we should be able to simulate this iterations. That thing should go in our mind. So we have to solve one or two examples before we actually write the code. Are you getting this, students? So we should not be lethargic in solving these steps. Is it clear, students? So even if after some steps, if you feel that, array, my answer is there now, but you should not stop. You should continue the story for n minus 1 iterations. So parallelly now, can you solve this in your notebook? You must have solved this till third. If you have not solved, do it. All of you write down these numbers in your notebook. 21, 19, 17, 23, 11, 9 and 4. All of you write this in your notebooks. Write down this first iteration, second iteration, and third iteration as I have written here. Those who have already written this, continue and solve iteration number 4, 5 and 6. I'll give you next 2 minutes to do this. I may ask any student to show the notebook. All of you are supposed to do it. I may ask him to open his webcam or his mobile phone camera. All of you are supposed to do this. First, write down iteration number 1, iteration number 2, and iteration number 3. Those who have already written the first 3 iterations, go ahead, solve iteration number 4, iteration number 5, and iteration number 6 also. In iteration number 4, there will be 3 comparison. So you should get 3 underlines in your notebooks. In iteration, you should get 2 underlines. In iteration number 6, you should be able to get 1 underline. And whatever is the output of 6th iteration, you all can see that it will be your sorted elements. It will be your sorted elements. I will move down from first iteration to the next so that I can also solve. I am solving now 4th iteration on my screen. All of you are supposed to solve. All of you are supposed to solve. So these are my 3 comparisons of 4th iterations. So here my 5th iteration begins. I'll have 2 comparisons for my 5th iteration. So this is my first comparison. This becomes my second comparison, out of which I get my answer. See here, till you solve the last step, you didn't get answer. Why? Because I had kept 4 intentionally on the extreme right. But sometimes some random input may give you result before that also. That's what I was trying to explain you. But don't stop there. You should not stop there in that case. Are you getting this? So let me continue my last iteration, that is 6th iteration also. Here I'll compare 9 with 4 and swap will take place between 9 and 4, and others are already sorted, so those will not be taken into consideration of sorting. So when I complete my 6th iteration, my dear students, in which I have only one comparison, this is my output of 6th iteration, the last step. So I don't need to solve 7th iteration. Why? Because the only remaining number will be the smallest, which I already have reached to its appropriate position. So this becomes my final answer. Becomes my final answer. Is it understood, students? Whether all of you were able to do it in your own notebooks?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do we have roll number 49? Roll number 49?
Yes, sir.
You solve this in your notebook?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have roll number 11? Roll number 11.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand the philosophy, the numerical of bubble sort?
Yes, sir.
How many iterations are there in bubble sort?
Sir, numbers are 7, so iterations are 6.
Okay, so in general, if you have n numbers, total n minus 1
N
iterations.
minus 1 iterations. Yes.
Correct. So suppose if the given number of elements are 10, suppose 10. So how many iterations will be there?
9.
9. In first iteration, how many comparisons will be there?
6 comparison. Sorry, example.
10 numbers
10.
are there. 10 numbers are there. 9 iterations will be there. So
9
in first
iterations.
iteration, how many comparisons will be there?
9 comparison.
Correct. First iteration, 9 comparisons. Second iteration?
8 comparisons.
Correct. Third iteration?
7.
7, and so on. So I hope all of you have now understood. Very good, very good. Okay, you can mute yourself. So depending upon your number of elements, the problem will expand. Okay, so in general, n number of elements, n minus 1 iterations. In first iteration, n minus 1 comparison. Second iteration, n minus 2 comparison, and so on. And in n minus 1th iteration, there will be one comparison. Here in our example, n minus 1th iteration means 6th iteration. That will always have only one comparison, because problem is getting reduced by 1 from right hand side. And whatever comparison that I have showed here using colors, I recommended you to show that using an underline in your notebooks when you solve, or when you solve in your paper. Is it clear, students? Is the numerical clear? Now we need to write logic for this. Shall we discuss logic in short? Actually, it is not possible to cover the logic in 6 minutes. I'll take it in short. Actually, with logic, I had to complete this today, but it seems it is difficult. I'll continue this in next lecture. For me, your understanding is more important. So even if it takes time, it is okay. I'll take extra lecture if you want. But I want all of you to understand these numericals, because these are very important topics as far as your placements are concerned. Okay, so when we have to write logic, my dear students, okay, for this, so we did two things actually in this entire solution. First thing, we were dealing with iterations, correct? We were dealing with iterations, and in every iterations, we were doing some comparisons. Okay, what was our job here? what we were doing here while solving is we were dealing with iterations. So this block, the bold rectangular block which I have shown, this is one task, right? So total 6 tasks, that is 6 iterations are there. And in every iteration, we have some comparison. In every iteration, we have some comparisons that we need to perform. Correct? In every iterations, we have to perform some comparisons. So this has to be done dynamically, because if your n changes, number of iterations are also changing and number of comparisons within each iteration is also changing. That I showed you now with help of example. If you have 7 numbers, 6 iterations, first iteration 6 comparison, second iteration 5 comparison, and so on. But when I told that there are 10 numbers, 10 number of iterations became 9. The number of iterations became 9. First iteration had 9 comparison. Second iteration had 8 comparisons, and so on. So these number of iterations and comparisons that are happening within each iterations are dynamic in nature. Based on your input is going to change. So we need to write these conditions dynamically while writing the code for this particular bubble sort. One logic will cater to the number of iterations. 2 things we need to consider in that logic, right? What 2 things we need to consider? One is some logic for dealing with the number of iterations. One logic for dealing with number of iterations, and second logic for dealing with the comparisons that are happening in each iteration. So this becomes for us a nested loop program in which one loop will target the iteration. One loop will target the iteration, excuse, and the second loop will target the comparisons that are happening in each iteration. One loop will target the iteration and second loop will target the number of comparisons that are happening in each iteration. So I take those loops in the form of I and j. I'll take those loops in the form of I and j in my program. I'll take those in the form of I and j. I variable and j variable. Is this much understood, students? What is I and what is j for me?
Yes, sir.
I is a variable which I want to use now for iterations. I is a variable which I want to use now for iterations. And j is a variable which I want to use for my comparison. J is for my comparison. J is for my comparison. J is for my comparison. So look at these indices. This is our array, right? This is our array. So these, I'll write index of the array at the top position. I'll write index of this array on the top position over here. So this is our array index. Correct? This is our array index. On these indices, now our logic of I and j is going to execute, where I will be for iterations and j will be for comparison. The outside loop will be for iteration, that is for I, and the inside loop will be for the comparison, which will be for j. The exact initialization condition of this I and j I'll explain you on Monday's lecture, because it is not possible for covering it in 1 minute. What as of now today we can remember is that we will be having two variables I and j in which we will be having a nested for loop. I will talk about the iterations. Inside each iteration there are comparisons. So inside that there will be a j loop for comparison. How to write that I and j loop I'll discuss in Monday's lecture. But is this understood up till now? So all this numerical should be there in your notebook notes. I'll be creating link for uploading notes by afternoon, and also I'll upload the video recording of this lecture. Please see the video again so that you'll understand the numerical. And after you do that, I'm giving you one problem. That problem should also be there in your notebook. So you have to solve bubble sort for these numbers. I'm writing those numbers over here. All of you take down these numbers. So this should also be there in your notebook. Solution of this in proper way, the way I have written iterations and shown the comparisons. So all that things should be there in your notebooks. So before uploading the notes, this numerical should be there in your notebook. Take down these numbers. All of you take down these numbers. So given numbers are, I have given total 9 numbers. So this is the input which I have given. All of you make a note of this. 83, 81, 79, 67, 54, 43, 11, 64 and 82. So solve these 9 numbers. So if these are 9 numbers, all of you should have 8 iterations in your notebook. First iteration, 8 comparisons. Second iteration, 7 comparisons, and so on. 8th iteration will have 1 comparison. Is it clear? Is the homework clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
we will stop for today. I'm stopping the screen sharing. Just for, let me take down the attendance. Hold on a moment.